Hey y'all, tech issues. Hey y'all, we've got double the action and double the fun on the first episode of Steph and Kat Talk WOW of the new year. Again, this is Steph and Kat Talk WOW.
Yeah, yeah. Making her way to the mic. They start dimming the lights. You start feeling alright. From Birmingham, home of the Teddy Longs and the Ruben Studders. More once you discover. For all of the lovers, Whitney Houston and Roman Reigns. For all of the lovers, and Mickey James and Marvin Gaye. For all of the lovers, and Sasha Banks, Janelle Monáe, Silk, Sonic, and Paige. Allow me to say, look, I just found a place, sweet escape. Every one of us, I was kinda late, so I just made it off the struggle bus. Walking by the fate, cause I know it's right in front of us. Yo, I ain't with the hate, gotta focus.
I guess I just wanted y'all to hear the theme songs like two times. Like, I don't know what's going on, but either way, hey y'all, it's your girl Stephanie Hardy back with a new episode of Steph and Cat Talk WOW, brought to you by the Hardy Wrestling Podcast and In Cat We Trust. Of course, I'm your girl Stephanie Hardy, host and creator of HWP, HWP Extra, and co host of this fabulous show. And sadly, Katrina could not make it in tonight, but we do send her good vibes and good wishes as she continues to be her awesome and amazing self. So, of course, follow her everywhere at NCAT We Trust. Support her channel, support her writing, support her everything that she's doing in and out of New York and all of her panels and her authorship and all of the things. But yes, we are back for new episodes of WoW Superheroes for the year 2026. So for those who haven't seen us since the last year, Happy New Year. It is, I know it's like day 16 and I know a lot has happened. A lot has happened, since then, but still we've crossed over into the new year, which means that there is more women's wrestling to watch and to love on and to grow with and just more to do. And I am just so happy to be back before you guys to talk about this amazing show that we love so dearly, WoW Superheroes. Now, of course, there was an announcement on their social medias, if you follow WoW Superheroes, that says that now they're going to be airing on Thursday nights, or Thursday mornings, depending on how you fall in between that, on Vice TV. So they've moved from Tuesdays to Thursdays. So if you want to watch them late at night, you can watch them there, along with watching them on Pluto TV and on Wrestling Central, where they also air with NWA on Roku and all of the places. So you can check it out there, as well as on their YouTube channels and on the regular channels that you can watch them on if you have regular analog television. So, of course, we've started our new batch of episodes that we are still, that's still, of course, being housed on Fremont Street in the city of Las Vegas, which is, of course, becoming more and more of a fight city every month, housing the biggest and most high profile boxing matches, the most high profile, like MMA things, UFC things, WWE things. And now WoW is housed on in old school Las Vegas, as some would call it, on Fremont Street, and we are back there. So, this first episode that we're going to talk about, because this is a double dose, so we're talking about two episodes in this, is Lights Up, which aired on January 3rd and the 4th of 2026. This was the first episode of the new year. So we got a recap of Tormenta versus Paula Mayfield for the WoW World Championship in their Mexico versus Colombia championship match, where Tormenta was victorious and retained her WoW World title. And of course, with this, we saw the new intro, and it made me kind of sad because I was just like, I was getting used to that new theme song, and I was trying to commit it to memory. So now we've crossed over into the new year, and y'all just done changed everything again. If it's one thing that wrestling teaches you is that life is always subject to change. So don't become attached to anything. Like, you can become attached, but don't become so attached that you can't be able to move on to the next thing. So, theme songs are not the theme song that they once had is not on the intro anymore, and I was really bummed out about it. But we move. So In the beginning of this episode, Fab Four, the Fab Four, Penelope Pink, Lana Starr, and the WoW Tag Team Champions, Miami Sweet Heat, make their entrance with Vegas Showgirls because, of course, they now think that they're essentially all that. They want to paint the town pink, as they say. And let me say something. Lana Starr in the outfit that she was wearing in this episode, she looked like a total baddie. Of course, we might show that picture a little bit later. If not, then that's fine. But you can go back and watch that episode, and she looked like a total baddie dressed up as a Vegas showgirl, and I just couldn't take it. And I'm just like, ma'am, how is it that you're like this WoW OG, but yet you just look so young? Like, it's so nuts how good Lana Starr looks. So she cuts a promo and says, now that the WoW tag team titles are back where they belong on Miami Sweet Heat, there's only one thing missing: the WoW World Championship. And the only rightful contender is Penelope Pink, a former WoW World Champion and WoW Tag Team Champion. She deserves this the most. So, Tormenta, sorry to say, but your days are numbered. This is the best damn thing WoW has ever seen. And she gets interrupted by another former WoW World Champion in the Classmaster and Samantha Smart. And Samantha, of course, has to talk about all of the peasants and talk about how stupid everyone is. And she says, look at these stupids. Black. David McLean, you should be ashamed of yourself for allowing delusion like this to fester in WoW, excuse me. They actually believe they deserve to be in the same conversation as the greatest WoW world champion of all time, the Classmaster. Unlike Lana Subpar and the Foolish Four, the Classmaster is more than just a former champion. She is the blueprint of brilliance. But then she gets interrupted by Santana Garrett. She says, as I was sitting back there, I can't help but keep overhearing the words former champion. And while I respect the eagerness, let me remind you, ladies, that I was a champion before either of you got to WoW. And I thought that was really cool. And I said, look, in my notes, I said, clock that T. So, David, correct me if I'm wrong, but if anybody deserves a championship match, I'm pretty sure it's your real life superhero, Santana Garrett. And so David stated that, of course, all the ladies have a point. So he decides to create a triple threat match to determine who will be the new number one contender for the WoW World Championship. So after all of this, I was left feeling like I really wanted Santana Garrett to win because, of course, we've seen Penelope Pink in these situations before. We've seen the Classmaster over the past year be in these situations where she wins the title, defends the title, she even lost it, and all the things. So I kind of wanted to see something new, but of course, we're going to get into that a little bit later. So we move into our first match, which was Animal Instinct versus Gabriella Cruz and the returning Little J Boogie. She was definitely one of my favorites from the last season because she had that breakdancer thing going on, and she was dressed up in purple and gold like a Laker girl, even though I know she's from North Carolina. But still, just the purple and gold just has a special place in my heart, not just because I'm a Lakers fan, but because my high school's colors were purple and gold. Shout out to Fairfield. So she comes back and she tags with Gabriella Cruz and she goes up against Animal Instinct, who is, of course, trying to I don't want to say re-establish, but just further establish their dominance as the premier tag team in all of WoW. And it was just really interesting how Goldie and Katarina were talking about, okay, we have to wrestle the first match, the first WoW match of the new year. No pressure. And they definitely showed that they can deliver in those bright lights. So, as the match kept going, we also learned that Lil J Boogie, as she was recovering from her injury, she also started working with a circus because she's also not only a dancer, but she's just a performer of the body in so many other different scenarios and different shows. And so I did see pictures of that of her on social media if you do follow her. She is very gifted in movement. So yeah, she was out here doing all kinds of cool things before she came back to the ring. So Katarina came out and her hair was stunning. It was definitely different from seeing all of her waviness that we're used to seeing her with down her back. She had these two braids, and it just looked really cute and full of combat. And she just looked really, really like dazzling with her outfit and her hair. It was just a slay. So Katarina and Gabriella started the match, and Katarina blasted Gabriella with a kick and then ran her head into the turnbuckle, and then she tagged Goldie. In this match, we saw a lot of experience on the part of Animal Instinct that, of course, Lil J Boogie and Gabriella Cruz didn't necessarily have. But because it had been so long since we had seen Lil J Boogie in the ring, she had a lot to prove. And so she wanted to go ahead and blast through the competition and prove that she was ready to bounce back. And that she did, as you can see in this picture, as she was giving a leg lariat to Goldie Collins. Then you had the fire of Gabriella Cruz swinging through and blasting through Katarina and Goldie as much as they could. But then, of course, you have more of the tag team chemistry that Goldie and Katarina had as they tried to take down um Gabriella and Little J Boogie. And in the end, as they kept trying to fight back, um they just couldn't get the job done. And in the end, Gabriella got frustrated and then tossed, and then Goldie wound up tossing Gabriella into the turnbuckle. And then Katarina pushed Goldie with her foot to give an assisted cover for the 1, 2, 3. And that's where they won the match. So Animal Instinct wound up winning their first match of the new year. And in the midst of that, Lil J Boogie and Gabriella Cruz cut a promo stating how unhappy they were with the way that that match got finished. They said, "I know we lost that match, but me and Gabriella aren't going anywhere because this is just the beginning of our partnership." And Lil J Boogie talked about how it was her first match back, and it felt so good to be back from injury. But she stated how frustrated she was with them cheating, and we know that now that's what they're made of. So next time we'll be prepared. And Gabriella was just happy to be representing her people of Brazil and just being there and representing her culture in the ring. So it was a really great tag team match, a good back and forth. You saw a lot of fire and passion come from Lil J Boogie and Gabriella Cruz, but Animal Instinct do have more of the experience, and that was the main factor that fed and their of course their caginess to do whatever was necessary to win and to leaning on each other in order to succeed. So that's what fed into them winning that match. So hopefully we'll see maybe a rematch between them, or we'll see Animal Instinct rise above and possibly get an opportunity at those tag team titles. You never know what could happen there. So, in the midst of this, we also get another recap of that scandalous WoW Trios Championship match between Monsters and Metal and Top Tier, where they showed all the crazy shenanigans that happened with those referees, and how one referee counted the 1, 2, 3 and called for Monsters and Metal to be the new WoW Trios champions, and the other referee, who got yanked out from under the ropes by Coach Campanelli, decided to throw it out and call it a no contest. So in the midst of this, tensions are high. I still think it was a BS call. Everybody's angry. So we are backstage with Sibley Skulls, who we're seeing for the first time in this whole Las Vegas scenario. And she asked Monsters and Metal, about their feelings after the call. And Daisy Lane said, "We're tired of Top Tier getting away with all of their shenanigans, and we will have our hands on the titles again." And then Fury stated, "We saw what Top Tier did, and if they keep cheating, we've got something up our sleeve for you." And it made me wonder, okay, so what's really up y'all sleeve? Like, what type of plans y'all got? Like, what's going on? Like, how is it that Monsters and Metal is actually going to topple down Top Tier? Because it just seems like no matter what they do, not only are they proving themselves to be one of the most dangerous trios teams in all of professional wrestling, and not only are they just doing whatever they can to win, it's just they keep finding so many creative ways to maintain their hold on those trios championships. And I'll get to them in a minute, but still, like, it's just really hard to even have hope in any type of trios teams that's trying to battle against them, because they just find so many creative ways athletically, and also finding loopholes in rules in order to maintain their grip on the trios division. And it's just almost hopeless to a degree. But if Monsters and Metal has a plan, then I'm going to trust that they have a plan. I'm trying to trust it, but my hope is hanging on by a thread. It's hanging on by a thread, but we'll see. So they did make an announcement about a new WoW superhero, which we will discuss a little bit further in the second episode once I cover that, named Destiny Diesel. And she is so beautiful, and I can't wait to start talking about her. But later on in this episode, we get another debut from a new WoW superhero, and we hear some familiar music coming from an SUV. And out of that SUV comes the Alliance. And of course, we're used to seeing BK Rhythm, Gigi Gianni, and Reina Del Rey. And then we're also used to seeing Adriana Gambino coming out with them as the Alliance. But, and I do mean but, we have a major change on the villa. We are now seeing Adriana's little sister, Ariana Gambino, take over the Alliance and stake her claim over the faction. And she comes in with this business skirt on, with this pinstripe, sort of suit thing going on, looking like she is literally like the boss of everybody. And she comes in and she cuts a promo saying, David, you knew my sister, but she couldn't hold a candle to me because I am daddy's little princess, Ariana Gambino. I'm here to take care of business. Yes, my sister might have had the sauce, but I have the sauce and the spice, and I'm here to spice things up. I have a big announcement. When there's a crack in the foundation, you have to seal it up quickly before it gets out of control. And my daddy always taught me to keep your friends close and your enemies closer. So all you people watching, I have my muscle, my mouth, and my fashionista. And I'm the brains and the real boss. We had a rat in our inner circle. And my first act as the boss is to hire an exterminator. And she introduced Sylvia Sanchez as the newest member of the Alliance. So now the Alliance not only has just 4 women, it has 5 women in it. And this really did change the game, because we're used to seeing Sylvia Sanchez as a bandita on her own, and then we also are used to seeing her in tag team action. But now she has decided to come in as a part of the Alliance and be that new extra X factor in this faction. And I really like this. I was just like, okay, this is new, but I really like this because, first of all, I have been wanting sort of the Alliance to not only like gain more power, but I sort of want them to sort of barrel over the Fab Four as like the top faction for a while now, since they've been created. And I understand that they're essentially the bad guys and they're the heels, but a part of me really wants to see them sort of rise as the top faction. Like, why haven't we seen them go after all the gold the way that the Fab Four is? Like, why don't we see them go for the trios title? Why don't we see one of them, even though we did see Reina Del Rey fight against Tormenta for the WoW World Championship, why aren't we seeing more of those girls switch in and out for that? Like, why aren't we seeing BK Rhythm and Gigi Gianni, you know, do those things? Like, I just feel like if you're going to create a faction like this and then add a new member, why not go for all of the gold? And topple over the Fab Four and teach them a thing or two, and teach top tier a thing or two. But let's just wait and see. Let's just see how it's going to play out. But I really am excited about the addition of Sylvia Sanchez, and I can't wait to see what happens from there. So moving forward, we do go backstage again with the Fab Four. And Penelope Pink basically states that they're going to paint Sin City pink, and that the Fab Four are taking over. And we're going to do what we do best: embarrass you and look good while doing it. And then, of course, they did announce what was going to happen in the next episode, which we will get to. which leads us into our main event, which was Penelope Pink versus Santana Garrett versus the Classmaster for the number one contendership for the WOW World Championship. And this match was very spiteful and full of anger and very much just full of um, just boss diva energy, because you have all three of these women who have been former champions. You have Lana Starr out there playing X Factor for Penelope Pink, and then of course you have the Classmaster and Samantha Smart out there. And it's just, I feel like Santana Garrett was essentially at a disadvantage here because I've always said before, but I think it bears repeating. If you're in WoW and you have a manager, you are pretty much set for life because you have someone doing extra work for you, being the extra eyes and ears, and taking down the opponents when necessary while the referee isn't looking. But a part of me also feels that David McClain needs to lay down the law a little bit more when it comes to these managers interfering and making things unfair. But I feel like that's another conversation for another day. Um, so Penelope Pink and the Classmaster started the match sizing each other up and wanted to ignore Santana and pretend like she was a non factor. And that irritated me because I'm like, y'all ain't finna do Santana like that. So a lot of the fighting wound up, happening outside, but in the ring, the Classmaster mushed Santana disrespectfully, but then at one point in the match, it looked like Santana and Penelope actually joined forces to knock down the bigger opponent in the Classmaster. But then, of course, Penelope is just all for herself. She's very greedy. She wants to take charge of everything. So essentially, she turns her back on Santana and starts taking her down, of course, utilizing Lana Starr. But of course, the Classmaster was just being all tough and giving all kinds of right hands and slams to Penelope Pink. But it seemed like for every shred of momentum each opponent got, there was always another opponent to take the wind out of their sails throughout this entire match. And then, of course, you have Santana here, utilizing her amazing athleticism, hitting a backflip slam onto Penelope Pink from the top rope. And it was just pretty amazing athletic stuff here. You have a super kick from Santana to the Classmaster, but she had it a mouth guard so her teeth wouldn't be damaged in any way, shape, or form. And just what it looked like, and then of course you in this picture you do see the Classmaster start to target Santana's leg with her leg drop. Um, and as the match kept going on here again, you see these two crazy managers getting into it with one another because Lana Starr decided that she was going to come out in another costume and dress up as a master student like the Classmaster, and she actually covered up Samantha Smart with her graduation robe. It was just shenanigans galore. And right when it looked like Samantha was trying to cheat, she winds up hitting, or at least nearly hitting, the Classmaster with the book, but then she ducks it. And then Penelope Pink takes advantage of throwing Santana out of the ring, covers the Classmaster for the 1, 2, 3, and now she is the number one contender for the WoW World Championship. So after this really amazing hard hitting match, and with the crowd even chanting multiple times for Santana to get the upper hand, Penelope Pink winds up winning, and everyone's essentially disappointed. But does Penelope care? Absolutely not. She cuts a promo saying, "Cut my music, because the best damn thing in WoW has something to say. Not only am I the best, but I just continue to make history week after week. You're welcome for watching. So, Las Vegas, get used to it. We left Beverly Hills for this dump, and we're gonna paint the town pink." Y'all know she's dramatic. She's like the drama queen, but I love the way she cuts promos because Penelope Pink really is the full package. As much as she gets on my nerves, I gotta give credit where credit is due. Miss Mamas be getting the job done. So Penelope Pink is now the number one contender for the WoW World Championship, and she will be facing Tormenta this weekend. So if you are watching WoW this weekend, please be sure to check that out. I hope Tormenta does retain her title because we just haven't seen her defend the title enough, and I just want to see her on top a little bit more. Um, and I'm just hoping that she can fight against all of the odds that the Fab Four will probably have to try to help Penelope Pink win that title again. And if she does win it again, we'll never hear the end of it. So here's sending all the good vibes and energy towards Tormenta, okay? Please, 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 please. So as we continue to move forward with this new episode of WoW, which aired last weekend, it was called The Freight Train Arrives. And in this episode, we saw the debut of Destiny Diesel. And we will get to her in a minute, but this episode did start. If this is going a little bit out of order, it's because I had to watch this on YouTube. So forgive me if it's kind of scrambled, but we're going to get through this, okay? Um, the episode started with a trios match between the Alliance with Gigi Gianni, BK Rhythm, and Sylvia Sanchez, the Exterminator, going up against the returning Keita Rush, WoW OG, and the Mighty Mites, Sugar and Spice. And I was so happy to see Keita Rush again. And in my opinion, I really feel like she wasn't in the match nearly as much as I would have liked to have seen her. But this match definitely felt like more of a showcase for Sugar and Spice as a tag team. And I definitely still enjoy them as a whole. And I also want to give a shout out to them because they did announce their educational accomplishments. And I believe Sugar is going back to school to get a master's degree. So big ups to them and big ups to all women, Latina women, and all women who are thinking about going back to school, including myself. But it's just a major accomplishment, and I just love that they're encouraging them. So big ups to education and big ups to the women who pursue it. And something that bummed me out before this match is that we didn't get to hear BK's bars. There was no rapping from BK Rhythm this time, and I'm just like, an episode with no bars from BK. What the heck is going on here? But I'm pretty sure Katrina saw this episode and was like, thank God. But either way, this was a pretty solid match to start this episode. Like I said, Keita Rush and her martial arts background and her grappling style was on display at the beginning of the match going up against BK Rhythm. But after this point, it felt like this match was all Sugar and Spice. We saw all kinds of lucha arm drags from Sugar onto Gigi Gianni. There was lots of high flying and lots of double suplexes and double neck breakers from those girls. Like it was just for a while, it felt like Gigi Gianni was kind of going through it. With a lot of the damage she was taking from Sugar and Spice. But then, of course, BK and the rest of the crew of the Alliance used their numbers advantage and tried to play with Ariana and Reina Del Rey trying to interfere and try to knock Sugar and Spice off of their perch, but they kept fighting and kept fighting out of things. Spice gave a baseball slide kick to BK outside of the ring, and she even gave one to Reina Del Rey as well. It was just a lot of action going on, though, and like I said, it was just a lot of solid action from all of them. But in the end, it turned out to be the Alliance who wound up on top, and I thought this was a really solid showcase for them, seeing as this is them in a new iteration. Ariana is definitely feeling herself as the new boss. She said in her promo afterwards, saying, well, 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 looks like our exterminator just took out your spice and added it to our dish. Because there was a point where Sylvia Sanchez came in and she was locked in on punishing Sugar. And something that I enjoyed about Sylvia's presence in this match is that she is probably one of the ones who's evenly matched in terms of abilities when it comes to her and the Mighty Might Sugar and Spice, because they're both of the lucha background. So there was one point in the match where Sugar was trying to go for a lucha arm drag and climb the ropes, but then Sylvia snatched her down off the ropes and kneed her in her stomach. Like that's the kind of stuff that I enjoy about wrestling, where it's like you have these opponents who are so well evenly matched with each other that they could take each other down by knowing how each other's wrestle. And I feel like that's what Sylvia did. She made the difference in this match here, and I thought that was really impressive. And she seemed very vicious, and she seemed a bit more locked in with the mission of the alliance going forward. And like I said earlier, I do like this new shakeup with the alliance. So of course, Adriana, not Adriana, Lord, I'm sorry, it's gonna take me a minute. Charge it to my head and not my heart. I don't mean to do that. Ariana got on the microphone and said, "We'll be serving up our dish all night long. Those mighty mites don't look so mighty anymore, do they? This is just the start of the alliance because I am the new boss in town." So, pretty solid stuff from the Alliance 2.0 here. So after this, we get a spotlight on Destiny Diesel, the new WoW superhero, making her debut in this episode. And she's super gorgeous, like I said. And she's called the Freight Train because when she started training at the WoW Training Center, she was running through everybody simply because of her background in rugby, soccer, dodgeball, and any form of contact sport you can think of. She's done it, and she was excited about her opportunity in WoW because her debut match in this episode is for the WoW Trios titles, and she was happy to fight alongside a veteran like Kalaki, the island girl, who she's learned so much from. And she said if she does win this match and win a Trios title, it wouldn't be like a dream, but it would be Destiny, which was a play on her name. And I love that so much because I'm just a fan of puns like that. So it was really cool. So before we move on to the next match, we have to put a spotlight on Tara Strike, who, of course, if you are abreast of the indies or independent wrestling, she's known as Tootie Lynn, the Little Blue Dragon. She is someone who I have actively supported since I met her at NWA's Empower a couple like years ago in 2021, and I loved seeing her being at the center of this episode with a conflict and with a match on her own. Her and her tag team partner, Kara Kai, were slated to have a WoW tag team title match against Miami Sweet Heat, but Kara Kai, her partner, was nowhere to be found. And she was stressing out backstage, but then Ashley Blaze, who was an ally of hers, came back and tried to, support her and say, look, if you need me to come out there with you, I'll do it. Or if you want me to call her, I can. Um, but she was really stressed out. And then her mother called her. And also, shout out to Tootie Lynn's mom because I actually know her from St. Louis. She was so sweet when I met her. Shout out to her. And yeah, I'll always support your daughter forever and always. So after this, Tara Strike comes out and then she gets on the microphone and pleads with David McLean to give, Kara Kai a few more minutes to come out there. But then, of course, Miami Sweet Heat comes out there and Lana's like, well, if she's not here, then that means there's a forfeit and my girls don't even have to wrestle a match tonight. But David didn't like that. And he said, look, these people out here in Las Vegas came to see a fight. They came to see a match. So, Lana, you get to choose which one of your Miami Sweet Heat girls gets to fight in a singles match. So she chose Lindsay, and Lindsay and Tara were now booked to fight to face each other in a singles match. And we had not seen Lindsay participate in a singles match since she had to fight her sister, Lori, when they were beefing with each other in the midst of that Fab Four drama. So as this match got started, Lindsay, of course, thought she could just take Tara lightly and push her around towards the beginning, and she gave a headlock to Tara, and it was very lackadaisical. But then Tara proceeded to light up Lindsay with kicks and her karana. A lot of her high flying and a lot of her martial arts background was on display here in this match. You see her or she actually gave Lindsay a haluva kick a la Sami Zayn, and I love that because I was just like, yes, girl, do that. Then she got goaded by Lori into a trap by Lindsay and got a sneak attack clothesline, but then she gave a 2 count, and then Lindsay gave an Oklahoma Stampede to Tara into the turnbuckles for a 2 count. And even while the Fab Four were trying to cheat and they were trying to use all kinds of weird shenanigans, here again, Lori almost got hit by Lindsay. And in the midst of this, while Lori was bragging about, okay, she's got it, Tara rolls up Lindsay into a small package and got the upper hand and won the match. So Tara Strike, also known as Tootie Lynn, got a singles victory on WOW television. And I was so happy about this because I was just like, look at my girl on TV. I'm so happy that she is being centered in this story a whole lot more. But she winds up getting attacked by Miami Sweet Heat afterward. And then Ashley Blaze comes out to defend her honor and she runs off Lindsay and Lori, and she cuts a promo saying, look, Tara, I don't care what I've got going on. It's game on. If you need me, I'm with you. You know, it's on. The battle is on and it's game on. And I thought that was really cool too. I feel like Tara and Ashley Blaze are giving me the black girl magic that I'm currently missing from the Fierce sisters. I don't know where Foxy and Roxy are at this point in the season. But I am happy that with Ashley Blaze and Tara Strike, we are getting levels of black girl magic on this show. But I am seriously bummed out about the fact that Kara Kai was nowhere to be found until the middle part of the episode, where she comes from backstage with a cup of coffee in the big time, like Macho Man Randy Savage. Rest in peace to him. And she's drinking coffee and chatting it up with Sandy Shore, who has a trios title match later on. And she's mad at Tara, saying, how could you move on in this match without me? And I'm sitting here like, what do you mean? Like, how could you go forward in this match? How could you not be in place for this tag team title match? Like, this isn't like you. Why would you miss an opportunity like this? And we were all just looking confused. It was just like, huh, 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 like the huh cat. It was just making me so upset. Like, girl, you know you have a huge opportunity that may or may not come again, and you decide to not be present. That really frustrated me on behalf of Tara. And sometimes things fall through and plans fall short, but at the same time, it's like, if you are a grown person and you know you have to be somewhere, you need to wake up, pay attention, make sure all of your ducks in a row, and make sure you have to be there, especially for an opportunity like that. And she wasn't there, and that just frustrated me. And I'm just like, man, you and Tara could have been tag team champions, but you wanted to go out and do whatever. I'm sure we're going to see more of this story develop, but I am happy here again to just see my girl, Tootie Lynn slash Terror Strike in the middle of things, and in a major storyline on WoW. This was really cool. So, they did go on to announce that, this weekend we will be seeing Penelope Pink and Tormenta in the title match. But after that, we did get a promo from the WoW Trios Champions top tier. And of course, they said that this match was going to end with them being the champions and still. And then they called themselves the gatekeepers of WoW, which I thought was really interesting because once upon a time, one of their members, Crush, was seen as the gatekeeper of WoW because after the first season of the reboot, she had grown so much as a wrestler that all of the new WoW superheroes were looking to face off against her. And now it's to the point where top tier is so drunk on their own power that they're adopting this mindset that they are now all the gatekeepers of WoW, and that the gate is now just labeled private for us because we're the top team, and it doesn't matter who you bring in front of us, what team David McClain thinks of, the result is going to be the same. All of the above. I'm the best, all the things, blase, 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 blah. So this leads us to the main event, which was Destiny Diesel in her WoW debut match, um, Kalaki the Island Girl, and Sandy Shore without Spring Break 24/7, going up against top tier for the WoW Trios championships. And of course, I'm more than sure that Monsters and Metal, could have interfered in this match, but I know that's not their game. And I'm more than sure they were watching this as well because they were last in line for those titles and they deserve another opportunity, in my opinion. But it was cool to see a new combination of a Trios team go up against top tier. Um, the thing that stood out to me the most in this match was just seeing here again, a hidden treasure in Kalaki the Island Girl just stepping up and kicking all kinds of butt in this match as one of the veterans here. She was just, there was one point where she was swinging on Coach Campanelli's arm in such a way that it felt like I was just like, ouch, this is gonna knock it out of the socket and it's hurting me. And she was really taking advantage and beating up on Coach Campanelli. But as Sandy Shore was in there, she was actually getting her Charlotte Flair on, and she hit a natural selection onto, I believe, Gloria Glitter. And I was just like, okay, Sandy, you've been in the lab. I see you. I really enjoyed seeing more of what Sandy Shore had to offer in this match as well. But then, of course, Destiny Diesel, being the new girl, came through. And here again was blasting through the competition, gave a splash to Coach Campanelli, and it felt like Coach was taking the brunt of the punishment. But the thing about top tier, which continues to be, their winning calling card, is the fact that when they lock in, they utilize not only their trios team chemistry, they utilize their speed and the numbers game in order to get the upper hand on their opponent when they least expect it. Because the trajectory of the whole match changed when when two members of top tier decided to attack and pull down Destiny Diesel and Sandy Shore off of the apron, and then go on the attack to one of the members in the team to continue to get the upper hand. And then they wound up capitalizing and getting the win. It's almost like you're seeing them move as a machine, and they call that the Hail Mary. And it's like you're watching one person do one thing, another person do another thing, and another person do another thing. And it's like shoosh, 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 shoosh. And it's mind blowing why they feel like they have to cheat, because they figured this team thing out. They figured out how to use each other's strengths to their advantage and to use the numbers game and the distraction game of the referee to their advantage. So for the life of me, I don't understand why they feel like they have to be so underhanded when they're already a good team to begin with. But they did what they did. They said what they said, and they retained those trios championships. But it was a solid debut for Destiny Diesel. I was impressed even more and more by the veteran instincts of Kalaki the Island Girl, and even more impressed with the continued rise of Sandy Shore in that match. But top tier is still the trios champions. And that was the end of the freight train arrives. And now we've reached the end of our time together. So, of course, thank you guys so much for watching us live. Or, if you're going to watch this later, thank you for watching us later on both of our YouTube channels, The Hardy Wrestling Podcast and In Cat We Trust. And of course, continue to support me, your girl Stephanie Hardy. Follow me on Instagram and Twitter at Queen Steph Hardy. And of course, follow my show, The Hardy Wrestling Podcast, on Instagram and Twitter at Hardy Wrestling Podcast, and on Twitter at Hardy Wrestle Pod. You can also like the Facebook page, which I post on every week essentially. um which is the Hardy Wrestling Podcast, and subscribe to the YouTube channel, and also like me on and follow me on TikTok, which is Stephanie_Hardy. My bio says host, writer, commentator, her in all caps. So please, follow me there on TikTok and continue to support your girl and support Katrina at In Cat We Trust everywhere, and continue to support WOW Superheroes this year. The more viewership they get online and also on television, the more they will rise as a promotion, and the more seasons they get, and the more opportunities these women get, and the more visibility they get. So continue to support them. Follow them at Wow Superheroes everywhere, buy their merchandise, and subscribe to their things as well, and support women's wrestling as a whole during 2026, because 2025 was an amazing year for women's wrestling, and I hope that that trajectory continues to rise and get better. And yeah, just support women's wrestling in the indies, support intergender wrestling and the women who do that, and support women's wrestling on the mainstream level as well. Don't play with beach balls. Don't pretend that the women aren't wrestling, or act like it's not, whatever women's wrestling match isn't interesting, or just be on your phones. Cheer for these women, because they're putting their bodies on the line the same way that the men are, if not harder. So support women's wrestling, and, you know, push for more opportunities for the women, not only in the ring, but also in refereeing and ring announcing and commentary, and also intellectually as well. So, this has been Steph and Kat Talk WOW, brought to you by the Hardy Wrestling Podcast and In Cat We Trust. And until next time, have an amazing weekend, because this is a long weekend. Happy Martin Luther King Jr. weekend. Be a part of the dream, and don't be a part of the nightmare. Bye, y'all.